Good evening, everyone. Yeah, it's the night after the foot dragon zombies crawled up the driveway looking for a Snickers bar. Got some time. I'm thinking about starting episode 2 content. Heard some disturbances outside. Thought I better go out and check on things. Imagine it was 1899, when the world wasn't so populated, and your livestock are restless. And you're going to head out to check on them in the dark in the middle of the night. And all you can rely on is the dim glow of a kerosene-fired lantern. Or maybe if you're lucky, you got one of the newly invented world's dimmest light bulb, handheld, what they called a torch, what we call a flashlight. And that's all you got, that little bit of light. Yep. It's not much to go on. Out in the dark, where all the wild beasts would be roaming. And if you're really, really lucky, maybe you had your trusty sidearm with you. More than likely an 1873 single action army, and more commonly known as a peacemaker in 45 Colt. Yeah, heck, nowadays, they actually make it so the flashlights will mount onto your sidearm. Even better, you can get them so that they come with a laser as well. Yeah, or you can get it so it goes laser and light. Yeah. Realistically, though, the 4 firearm safety rules still apply even in the dark. Rule number 1, treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Rule number 2, never point the firearm at anything you do not wish to kill or destroy, including your own body parts. Rule number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target and you've made a conscious decision to shoot and you've positively identified the target. Rule number 4, know your target and beyond and all around it, above it, below it, behind it. And out here in the dark, that's a lot of challenges. It's okay. We're in 2024. We've got some modern technology. Maybe you're lucky enough to have one of the new 1,000 lumens flashlights. Light up all the way to the back of the farm. Yeah, you can get one that bright. It goes on your sidearm too. Truth of the matter is, none of that stuff matters if you haven't mastered the fundamentals. If you don't have Jedi level competency with your sidearm, functioning in the dark is a big risk. And you learn those skills in the daylight hours, and it takes practice and training. Yeah, maybe we'll just move on to some basic stuff here. We'll go back inside where it's well lit, and we'll talk about the next most important thing for you to know, and that is belts and holsters. See you in a moment. Okay, everybody, it's me. We're back inside, and we're going to carry on with episode 2, where we talk about belts and holsters. If you'll notice in the picture, you'll see the Surefire or the Steamlight Laser flashlight attachment that I was demonstrating outside in the dark. I'm actually going to use the laser on it to use as a pointer for some of the topics I'm talking about, so you can reference them on the screen. So it looks a lot like this. So when we talk about belts and holsters, independently, if we talk about the belts, what I want you to know is if you're going to use a significantly heavy firearm, like a large frame semi-automatic, a large frame double action revolver, or a single action revolver like a peacemaker style firearm, you need a significantly heavy belt to carry that well. If the belt is too light, those heavier firearms are going to be uncomfortable to carry and difficult to work with when you're working on the draw stroke. If the gun is lighter, like the modern day polymer frame, any semi-automatic 9 or 40, the gun is much lighter, or even some of the old school steel frame military guns in the 9 category, like a Browning High Power or CZ75, Those guns are considerably lighter than the traditional large frame semi-automatics, and you can use a much lighter belt and still carry them all day long. Cardinal rule of thumb for me is if you can fold a belt in half longitudinally, lengthwise, like this, if you can fold it in half this way, it's probably not durable enough or heavy enough for carrying the larger frames like the double action revolver, the single action revolver, or the large frame semi-automatic. It's fine for the lighter guns in the polymer frame line, that sort of thing. Outside of that, it depends on what you want to do with the belt. You're going to wear it inside, around in your pants. You're going to wear it outside over top of your clothing. It's all up to you after that. Just know that to carry on going forward, you're going to need a belt. And in this day and age, there's a lot of people who just don't wear belts on a day-to-day basis. Just like Velcro shoes. Yes, if you can't tie a set of shoelaces, you may find the next few sessions challenging. In any case, holsters, I know you got in under the wire and you bought a gun, so it was whatever was left in the store. You bought what you could get. I get that, and now you're going to have to learn to train with that, but you will need a holster. There are different types of holsters, different quality materials, the whole 9 yards. The bottom line in the holster world is this. I want you to understand that the holster you get has to fit your firearm. That's the safety issue. If your firearm doesn't fit in the holster properly, there is an elevated level of risk that goes with using it. So look for a holster that fits the sidearm that you got. It doesn't matter what the holster is at this stage. There are different types of holsters for different sports and different applications. If you were going to be in the IPSC Olympics, you would consider a skeletonized holster, much like this on the large frame semi-auto, or this Kydex one down here on the Smith & Wesson polymer frame 9mm. Or even this minimalist holster itself. Those are good options for IPSC and IDPA. It's just what you can get. You don't have to be specific in it as long as you get a holster that fits your firearm properly. That's the issue I want to cover off is make sure you get one that it fits your firearm properly. It is not acceptable to have a holster that is made for a totally different make and model of gun than the one you own. There's a safety risk with using the wrong holster. In a nutshell, you're going to need one. You're going to learn to draw from the holster. One of the safest places to have the sidearm is, if it's not locked up in a safe, it's got to be in your hands or in the holster. That's the safest places for it to be. And it's going to spend a lot of time in the holster, loaded and unloaded as we move forward. So it's getting close to Christmas time. Now's your chance. Put it on your list. Have someone shop around for you. Find a holster for whatever handgun you managed to get at the last minute before the ordering council kicked in. And then we can move forward with training. On the same note, I want to talk about targets. Now, don't run out and buy a whole boatload of targets thinking you're going to need all kinds of special stuff. You don't need to have a ream of B-27 RCMP law enforcement style targets. You don't need to have the military style targets. You don't need to have anything fancy. You don't need that. You don't need that. You don't even need the most expensive bullseye ones. For what we're going to do at the level the average person is going to start, all you really need is what I call a AAA target. And that is this. A AAA target is simply an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Yeah, I use cardstock, but I knew a printer at one point in time when he passed away. He had a warehouse full of cardstock, and I managed to score some of it. I've probably got 2 lifetime supplies. But all you really need is a ream of printer paper. There's 500 sheets in a ream, I think. Costs less than $7, and that'll get you through an entire year or maybe 2 of training with what we're going to do. When we get to the point where we need smaller targets, we simply fold it in half lengthwise and widthwise and cut it out, and we call them AAA 4s. When you get to the point where you're shooting at this, then we'll worry about the other styles of targets. No worries. Just need this. Don't spend any money on special zombie targets or anything like that. Just get the paper and we'll move forward with the training based on that AAA target. Other than that, there's more coming. I'll give you time to get some holsters under your belt. There's some work we're going to do without the holster in the belt, but that's coming in the near future. We got to get through this kind of administrative stuff first. Always remember, no matter what we do, where we do it, the 4 universal firearm safety rules apply. Rule number 1, treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Rule number 2, never point the firearm at anything you do not wish to kill or destroy, including your own body parts. Rule number 3, keep your finger off the trigger and out of the trigger guard until your sights are on the target and you've made a conscious decision to shoot. And rule number 4, know your target and beyond, everything around it, above it, below it. Yeah, and when the gun goes off, it makes a lot of noise and a whole lot of commotion starts, and having situational awareness around you is the only way to operate. You cannot have tunnel vision when you're functioning with a handgun. And that's one of the things we're going to try and train through as well. In any case, I'll see you in the next episode.